what are you looking for when you're taking meetings with entrepreneurs or meeting with businesses?
That's the right question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the right answer.
You told me a couple months ago that like within the first 5 minutes you met a CEO and you were like, I'm going to make this investment.
That happens to me a lot.
Yeah, so I don't really know what that feels,
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. I would say that like, if I look at the investments that I've made over the course of my time at Benchmark over the last 9 years or 9.5 years, I think all of them actually have that element where it was like you had this feeling very, very quickly that this is the kind of person you want to work with, that it's an idea that is really special, and it could be something big. I think those are characteristics. Those are 3 things that I would like say. And I think part of what manifests for me is when the entrepreneur makes you see the world differently. Like they say something typically very early on that like you haven't heard before, you haven't read about before, like no one else has articulated. Like it's just a unique view of the market. And you're like, huh, that's plausible. And then they go on to explain the intricacies of it. And you're like, wait a minute, maybe there's something there. And then the question becomes like, well, okay, let's say everything they said was true. Like if it worked, could it be a big, valuable business? That's like a very, very important question, and then like, do they have an angle of attack on the market, not just the insight, but also an angle that is defensible and not replicable and blah, blah, blah. And so like, I think those are kind of the things that they put out there, which is like, it is unique. It relates to this whole, do venture capitalists have a thesis or not, actually is a very interesting question.
You're preempting some of my questions. So, because you were a non-thesis guy.
Yeah, non-thesis. But I think part of it, what I realized on it, and then maybe a better articulation of saying whether it's thesis or non-thesis, maybe it's false categories, is like, who comes up with the thesis? And it's like, I think it's my view that entrepreneurs have the thesis. It's our job to assess whether we believe the thesis or not, right? And so like they have the thesis, and because if we have the thesis, then like a lot of people have it. If an investor has it, then like a lot of people have it, and if a lot of people have it, like that probably is not going to be that big an outcome. Like it's just that's the things. Now I think like to be fair, one of the things that's weird about our business in venture capital is there's a lot of models of success. There's not one model. There's not one path. There's many paths, and there are probably venture capitalists out there who are smart enough to have a thesis and be futurists and like see the world and see where it's going and everything else. I'm not one of those people. And so I love it when I'm like sitting in a meeting and someone's like, wait a minute, like this is how this is going to go. And everybody thinks this, but it's really going to be this way. And you're like, huh. And it makes you think. And then you're like, well, 1, I've never heard that before. 2, like it's cogent, right? And 3, if that happens, it could actually be really, really big. And then they have a path to kind of get there. And then that gets you really excited. And so I think that tends to happen to me on the investments.